Welcome to channel Samson Strength. I'm Samson. So I said that in my last video that my next video would be an explanation for why I haven't been able to get my shit together. Or more specifically, what happened to me that changed me from having my shit together to not having my shit together. And so imagine that you're really good at cooking. Now, first question, how did you become good at cooking? Well, probably you cooked something for somebody when you were growing up and they liked it and told you as such, and you got a little dopamine hit. So you cooked again and maybe you got a little more dopamine hit. So you learned, or you wired your brain to enjoy cooking, right? So now you're an adult and you like to cook. So let's say you get into a relationship and you cook for your partner and your partner eats it and it doesn't say anything, right? Okay, well, you'll try again. So you cook for your partner and your partner, he actually has some critiques, if you will. And you're thinking, hey, this is great. I've got a partner who's going to bring out the best in me because he's going to offer constructive criticism and not just tell me what I want to hear. So the next time you go all out and you cook for him again and, he's not feeling well, whatever. And, it's not quite right, the food. And so, you don't get a dopamine hit. So you try again and again. Well, 6 months later or a year later, you hate cooking. You can't stand it. You can't stand the thought of it. You haven't cooked in a long time. And you don't even realize it, right? When something stops, oftentimes you don't realize it. Scott brought up, people complaining about the price of eggs, using that as a political issue. If the price comes down, suddenly that just goes away, and then out of sight, out of mind. And that's how that works. And when you combine that with, so I'm watching Scott Adams and he's talking about swatting, and it occurred to me that criminals have it a lot easier, actually. Because criminals don't follow all the rules, so they can keep themselves a lot safer because they don't have to follow the rules. And so he described a swatting incident. So swatting's going on right now, and I think it's great that that's been getting a lot of attention because false allegations and using the court system are kind of like that. They're kind of like swatting. And when anything can be taken away from you at any time, and that's demonstrated, that's kind of the trauma, and that's what makes it a rational coping mechanism to maintain distance from people and to not attach, right? That's what happens. You experience a trauma, and then like a mouse who got sick but wasn't poisoned by the cheese, and he's not going to go in that corner of the room or maybe even that room ever again. You've been hurt. I've been hurt. That's that's going to cause difficulty. So that's what that is. And so you have to rewire your brain. I didn't realize that I had been being treated so badly until Julie started treating me much better, which I appreciate that. So every single day, we're in a fight right now, but we ask each other, hey, will you marry me? We should get married. Will you marry me? And it's always yes, of course, because we just realize over and over again how well we work together and solve problems. So it's amazing. So that's what I'm trying to do. And so it's okay for me to feel safe here in this house so that I can put in a floor, for example, and it's going to be appreciated, right? Instead of, this one looks a little out of place, and I just look back at what I tolerated in past relationships. You know what I mean? So I do strive to treat my wife and my child very, very well, as well as I possibly can. And when I can, that's when I take time to myself. But that has its own challenges too. So that's the idea with that, and that's an element of that fear. Going back to being swatted, when the cops show up at your door and you're just minding your own business, and you get arrested anyway, right? There's no warrants. You're not on probation. You're not on parole. You haven't been convicted of anything, related to anything that's going on, right? You got into a little bit of trouble as a kid, and everybody seems to be using that against you. I went to Department of Corrections. I went to prison for juvenile misdemeanors, okay? And I've had so much redemption shoved up my ass since then that it's coming out everywhere. And that's where I sit today. I don't have to apologize for my past. I don't. And I'm not, I'm just demonstrably not that person. So it being used against me the way it is, and that's why bearing false witness is like, that's one of the 10 commandments, dude. Like, there's a big reason for that, man. Old Testament, it's not always wrong.